So today, go down to Santa Clara, sitting there, and you're thinking like, I don't know what the news is going to be today. Like, I guess we're going to have to talk about Brock. And then Kyle Shanahan comes out real casually, and he just goes through the injuries. And then he's like, oh, and here's one. Here's a new one. Brock Purdy's in the concussion protocol. Go ahead. It's like, so, I mean, they didn't know it during the game. He spoke to the media after the game. He had symptoms on the plane. So he didn't feel anything until he was almost home. And now he might not play next week. So that's a bombshell. And the question is, if Brock Purdy can't play, can the 49ers win with Sam Darnold?
Well, I think we have to count on him not playing at this point. So in the last year, last 2 seasons, only one player that was a quarterback has passed the concussion protocol when they were in it from the previous game, and that was Pickett. But I believe that was also before all the Tua stuff. So ever since the Tua thing, like everybody's on lockdown with these quarterbacks. You got Brock Purdy in concussion protocol on a short week. I would be shocked if he plays on Sunday. So I don't think he's going to play. Now we have to figure out, can the 49ers win with Darnold? It's no secret. I'm not a big Darnold guy. I don't think he's very good. I think he's a bad decision maker. A lot of the same issues I have with him, I had with Jimmy. But that being said, I think for a few games or a game, Darnold can turn it up. I do. I think with this offense, with these weapons, with Kyle Shanahan, they can figure out a way to kind of mask his deficiencies and make him look good for a short stint. So I do think they can win this game with Darnold. Yes.
Yeah, I think they can win with Darnold too. I don't know if they can beat the Bengals with Darnold. That's the thing. Like,
but I don't know if they would have beat the Bengals with Brock either.
That's what I'm saying. Is Darnold that much worse than Purdy? I don't know. I don't think Kyle thinks so. I think Kyle might wonder if Brock's a little bit better, but I think the end result might be like 6 dozen, half dozen. The other might be about the same. And if that's the case, I don't know if the Niners are beating the Bengals. What I do think is interesting about this scenario is let's say Darnold plays really poorly. Then the conversation comes back to Trey Lance. Sorry, but it does, because the Niners could have had Trey Lance playing this week. Instead, they got Darnold. And I watched them both all off season. I didn't think Darnold was better. I mean, I'm not sure the team thought Darnold was better. I think they went with Darnold because he was less of a distraction or whatever. So this better pay off. Is he good? Can you win with him? I mean, you won a game with Trey Lance. You beat the Texans. You won a game with him. You've never won a game with Sam Darnold. If you lose this one and he looks bad, like that decision's going to come back to bite him.
It could. I think the only scenario that they get out of this without a conversation being had is if he is kind of mid, but they still win. Because if he's bad, that conversation definitely could happen. But if he's good, that opens up a whole nother conversation, Grant. Mm-hmm. And now you're looking at a possible quarterback controversy. You just are. I don't care how you slice it, because the way that Sam Darnold was acquired by the 49ers, and let's not forget that the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan in particular offered the Jets a first-round pick for Darnold. When they were at 12, the year that they were at 12 and they moved up to 3, they offered that 12th pick for Sam Darnold. At that time, the Jets told them no. And the reason is they weren't fully sold on Zach Wilson because he had a shoulder issue that they wanted to get checked out. What happened was they figured out he's good to go. They then went back to the 49ers, but at that point, the 49ers had already made their mind up. They were moving up to 3. That ship had sailed. So then they traded him to the Carolina Panthers. So you're talking about a head coach who wanted Sam Darnold for a first-round pick just a couple years ago, talked about him like he's the next Steve Young, brought him here, and it wasn't Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is not the reason they moved on from Trey Lance. Let's be clear about that, okay? Brock Purdy played very good, and Brock Purdy would have been the starter. Brock Purdy is the reason that Trey Lance would not be starting. That much is true. The reason they moved on from Trey Lance is because they felt more than comfortable with Sam Darnold. So if we think that there is no possibility that off of 2 bad games from Brock, a good game from Sam, and the perfect time, if you're going to make a change, is going into a bye week and coming out of that bye week, that there is zero possibility that Kyle Shanahan, who clearly loves Sam, wouldn't make that move. I think we're fooling ourselves.
I think we're fooling ourselves too. And I think Kyle Shanahan, the way he looks at quarterbacks is strange. I mean, I think he basically just doesn't want you to turn the ball over. I think he looks at the running back as the guy who wins the game for him, and the quarterback is the guy who potentially loses the game for him. And I think he liked Brock, but I don't think he thought Brock was winning games for him. I think he thought Brock was not losing games. And in the last 2 games, it's possible. I mean, I think Brock lost those games in a lot of ways. He's the quarterback. He made some big mistakes and he started turning the ball over. Against the Browns, he had the 1 pick, but a couple other passes that nearly got picked. And then this last week against the Vikings, 2 picks. And I think once you get there, Kyle Shanahan will turn on you. Like, it's say what he can say what he wants about Jimmy Garoppolo, but that's what he didn't like about Jimmy Garoppolo, the turnovers. Why'd they draft Trey Lance? He had no turnovers in college. Mm-hmm. Kyle's obsessed with that. He wants a game manager that doesn't turn the ball over. And that's what Brock was. And that's not what he was the last 2 weeks, though. And if that's what Sam Darnold can be, Kyle will be happy. But I think the irony here is that they need more than that now. With a depleted team a little bit, they're going to need more than a game manager who doesn't turn the ball over to beat Cincinnati. So I don't know if Brock, I don't know if Sam can do that.
Yeah, I don't know that Sam's that guy. We were trying no turnovers. I mean, Sam's a turnover machine. He was in college. I want to be clear about this. I think if they do make a move to Sam Darnold, I think it's a major mistake. I think that the fan base easily turns on Kyle Shanahan. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think that Sam Darnold is not a very good quarterback at all. That being said, one thing that we also talked about, we've praised Kyle Shanahan and his leadership and how he's really poured into Brock. But we also had one question, Grant, and that one question was, once it starts to go bad, because it eventually will, it's never perfect, always. Once it starts to go bad, does Kyle Shanahan continue to support Brock? And for the first time this last weekend, if you look at his reactions on the sideline, he reacted the exact way that he used to Jimmy Garoppolo when he would make those interceptions. Before, if you would see a mistake from Brock, he would miss a throw, he would turn the ball over, which hadn't happened a lot, but when he would turn the ball over, there was no reaction from him. In fact, he would pull him aside and have conversations with him. Not this week. It was this effing BS. Are you kidding me? That's what you saw from him on the sideline for the first time when reacting to Brock Purdy. That's not good.
Yeah. So can they win with Darnold? I don't know. They weren't winning with Purdy the last couple of weeks. They might have some big problems.